I am not clearly in the office, and I won't be anytime soon. So, wanted to come on with you guys and chop it up with y'all real quick. I don't even know if I'm going to make it home tonight for Sunday night football. As a matter of fact, I know I'm not. I might jump on when I get home, but it's going to be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So it would really be for my West Coasters that might still be awake. But anybody on the East Coast probably won't see me based off of the fact that it's going to be so late. But anyway, I wanted to chop it up with y'all and talk about week number 12. Saw some good football today, man. Nothing better than that Cowboys Eagles game. So I just want to talk about what we learned today. Like, we learned a lot about a number of different teams. The Chiefs showed resilience today. If we go back to the 1 o'clock hour, let's just go through some things there. The Chiefs showed resilience. Their season was on the line, and they were this close to being done for. They lose this game today against Indianapolis, they were cooked. And for them to find a way to get it done, they made mistakes. They had turnovers, but they overcame all of the mistakes. Mahomes was not good, and he is struggling, y'all. That is something that is apparent. This is not the same Mahomes from 2019. This ain't 2021. This ain't 2022. This ain't that Mahomes no more, y'all. Like, that guy, I'm not saying he's gone and he's not coming back, but his guys made a lot of big catches for him today that were on inaccurate throws. He's missing receivers that are open. He's not hitting the deep ball. He hasn't hit the deep ball in about 2-3 years now. Running. We give him a pass because he's Mahomes. He earned it. He's built up the equity to be able to get away with that kind of stuff. But I'm going to just keep it a beam with y'all. That Mahomes that we've come to know and love, the one that, you give him just the slightest bit of daylight. This is all he needs to make a play. That dude ain't around right now. I don't know if he's coming back this year either. I ain't seen him in about 3 years. I'm keeping it a buck with you. I ain't seen him in about 3 years. Straight up. But the defense made enough plays, and when plays had to be made, they found a way to get it done. Big catch on a third down by, a matter of fact, I want to say that was a fourth down catch by Rashid Rice. What an effort from him today. He was playing with, I want to say a hamstring got tight on him or something. He came back in the game, made a big catch in overtime to put him in chip shot field goal range. But the catch at the end of regulation to set them up for the field goal was massive, right? Because Mahomes threw it high. He had to go up and climb the ladder to go get it. It was not an easy catch. The catch in overtime that Xavier Worthy made, that's a spinning catch. He's running in one direction. The ball's thrown behind him. He's got to turn, kind of pirouette and catch it. Like I said, Mahomes ain't been sharp. He ain't been sharp, but his guys bailed him out tonight. So they find a way to scratch and claw their way back. Go to overtime and win. Big win for them. The Colts are what I thought they are. Like, they're a good team. They're going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything when they get there. So that was a tough loss for them too. And Jacksonville found a way to win. We'll talk about them in a little bit because Trevor Lawrence, man, he stinks. But we'll talk about them a little bit later on. But Baltimore, man, I don't know about the Ravens, man. That was as lackluster and disappointing an effort as you can get in a win. But it's a win, nonetheless, and they're in first place now in the AFC North. But they were fighting with the Jets. I mean, the Jets gave them everything they could ask for about a good 2.5 quarters or so. I'm really disappointed in their offense. After the Miami game, that first game back, I'm thinking, okay, Lamar picked right back up where he left off. This offense is about to be crazy. The defense is going to do what they need to do, and the Ravens are about to be a problem. That is not what we've seen from the Ravens since that Thursday night game against the Dolphins. Their offense has been lackluster and disappointing every single week. They found ways to win. It was ugly last week against Cleveland. It was even uglier this week against the Jets, but they found ways to get it done. They win the game, but not without a struggle. Lamar in the past game looks atrocious right now. They got to figure some shit out because it was not pretty today, and you're not going to beat quality opponents playing the way that they played the last 2 weeks. You were lucky to play 2 opponents that have 3 or less wins I think the Browns won today against the Raiders, so they have 3 wins now, and the Jets have 2 wins. You were lucky to play those two teams, two twin teams in back-to-back weeks, or you probably would have lost 2 straight games because the two efforts I saw the last 2 weeks weren't good enough to beat quality opponents. So the Ravens have now won, I think that's 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, they've won 5 in a row because they start the season off 1-5, if I'm not mistaken, and they've run off 5 straight. And I think that is 3 straight with Lamar, and they won 2 straight with Snoop. No, this is 3 straight with Lamar, 4 straight with Lamar, and I think the last one Snoop won. The first one that kicked off the win streak was Snoop getting it done against the Bears, and then I think Lamar came back after that, and they've won every week since. So big win for them. They've taken sole possession of first place. If the playoffs started today, they'd be your 4 seed, and the Steelers would be out. Speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had a golden opportunity on the road against the Bears. The Bears just find a way. Let's talk about the Bears for a second, because like my dad does not believe in the Bears, and I don't blame him. The Bears might be one of the worst 8-win teams we've ever seen, but they find ways to win. It's never pretty. It's always with some sort of asterisk, next to it. But like my dad's like, if Aaron Rodgers played, I'm like, Aaron Rodgers is ass. Pack his ass up. Like they would have lost this game if Aaron Rodgers played too. But let him tell it. Oh no, the Steelers would have won the game today. I'm like, no, they would not have. That defense is creating turnovers. Man, I hate the Steelers offense. They had a possession there at the end. It took them about 9 minutes to score a touchdown. They were down 2 scores, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're massaging the clock like you're up. Yet you need 2 scores. What are you doing? They're running the football. They're all comfortable. Like, bro, seriously? But that's their offense. Like Mike Tomlin, I see why Steelers fans get upset with Mike Tomlin. Like their brand of football lends itself to being what they've been for the last decade, which is competitive as hell, winning 10 games, 9-10 games, make it to the playoffs, but you ain't doing a damn thing when you get there. Because that brand of football isn't beating anybody of note. And for the Bears, offensively, they're a really solid team. And Caleb does a lot of things that just frustrate you, but he also makes a lot of plays. And the offense right now is playing really well. It's being complemented by a defense that's forcing turnovers. That's not a great Bears defense. We know this. But they do force turnovers. And we talk about turnovers being the great equalizer. And that's what they're doing right now. They're creating turnovers. Caleb had a stupid, ugly fumble in the end zone for it. Like, that's the type of shit where you just be like, man, this is why I can't F with Caleb. But at the same time, he makes up for it with the amount of plays he can make with his legs, extending plays. They have so many weapons. Ben Johnson does a tremendous job of scheming it up, getting guys wide open. And they just continue to find ways to win these close ball games. And they did it again today. They're 8-3. They lead that division. I think they're going to get a rude awakening here shortly because, remember, they haven't played a lot of divisional games. Caleb just won his first divisional game, and he played horribly in that game against Minnesota, but they did win. And I don't think they've played Green Bay yet this season. I don't think they've played Detroit yet this season. So I think they're going to start losing some games here. And they have the Eagles on Black Friday. So I think they're going to start losing some games here. But they've been getting away with it. And they can beat Green Bay. Hell, they can beat Detroit. Speaking of Green Bay and Detroit, let's go ahead and head over to those two teams. Let's start with the Detroit Lions. They had a fight on their hands today with the New York Giants. Oh, my God. That game was crazy. He says they lost 1 to Detroit. So Kevin the PR says they lost to Detroit already. I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Oh, that's right. Ben Johnson went back to Detroit and they put up 50 on them. That's right. Thank you for that. So they've played 3 divisional games. Both of their Minnesota games are done, and then they played the one in Detroit, and they gave up 50 and got spanked. But Detroit has to go to Chicago, and they haven't played Green Bay yet. Okay, thank you for that correction, Kevin the PRF. So Detroit, speaking of the Detroit Lions, they should have lost today. But I was telling my dad, we were watching the game together, and I'm like, boss, the Giants play excellent football for 3 quarters, and then they just disintegrate. Like, I'm melting. I'm melting in the fourth quarter every week. I've never seen anything like it. Um, they had the Lions dead to rights. And Mike Kafka, for as well as he coached today, is an official ass clown. It was almost as if he were trying to lose the game. Somebody explain to me this. You're up 3. You have stymied the Lions offense all day, with the exception of Jahmyr Gibbs. You can't stop him to save your life. But everybody else, Amon-Ra St. Brown can't catch the ball now. Ever since he did the Trump dance in Washington, he's had bad juju and bad omen, and he hasn't been able to catch the football. So he's got stone hands now. Jameson Williams had one big catch that got negated due to a penalty. They were out of sorts. They are struggling offensively in the pass game without, like, you see the importance of a tight end. When you have one of these elite tight ends like Sam Laporta and he's removed from the equation, you see the impact that it has. Look at Green Bay's offense. They've looked like hot-ass garbage. We're going to get to the Packers here in a bit. They look like hot-ass garbage since they've lost Tucker Kraft, right? They haven't looked like a formidable offense in about 3 weeks since he went down. And these tight ends are so big because they are the chess piece in the NFL now. They're the guy you can move around, create mismatches, and the Lions offense looks totally different. Jahmyr Gibbs is their saving grace right now. But when you look at the Lions in this game, or let me go back to Mike Kafka for a second. You're up 3. Your defense has been phenomenal all day long. You've got a chance to kick a field goal, go up 6 with less than, I think at that point it would have been either just a shade over 2 minutes to go or you were just under 2 minutes. Well, it really doesn't matter, right? Which one is the better decision? The Lions need a field goal to tie the game, or the Lions need a touchdown to win the game? Which one makes more sense? And me and my dad are sitting there like, he's not really about to go for this, right? And we were having this long discussion, me and Boss Man, we're having this long discussion about how the NFL has changed. These teams act like kicking a field goal. And I think they've gone to the Greg Olson school of dummies for football or some shit, because you listen to Greg Olson and you would think kicking a field goal is the worst thing you could possibly do once you get, within 10 yards of the end zone, which is the dumbest shit ever. Like, don't listen to Greg Olson. Oh, it just doesn't make any sense to kick a field goal here. The amount of field position that you give up just getting a field goal doesn't make any sense. Bullshit. Give me the points. Okay? Bullshit. Give me the points. You're up 3. The Lions have struggled all day to score, to move the football. Look, they got a kicker with a big leg. They don't need much yardage to get in the field goal range. You've been really tough. You've been really awful in these fourth quarter situations, late in ball games. Don't put yourself in this position. Get the field goal, make them have to score a touchdown to beat you. They would have won this game. Even, I don't know if you guys saw, but injured wide receiver Malik Neighbors for the Giants, he posted and then deleted a tweet that basically called out the staff. Like, it's like they're trying to make us lose. Like, you run it twice and then you try to go for it on 4th down instead of kicking a field goal. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. But I'm just going to say this. The Lions are not the same team. They struggled to score last week. And I'll tell you this. The Bears have a really good shot at winning that division. Now, I think the Bears are going to struggle down the stretch with these teams in their division and Philadelphia, et cetera, et cetera. But they got a really good shot at winning that division because the Packers can't score. The Lions can't score. And the Lions scored today because Jahmyr Gibbs broke off 2 massive runs for touchdowns. Outside of that, they couldn't move the football, consistently in this game. The Giants had them bottled up. Jared Goff is a shell of himself right now because he doesn't have the security blanket in Sam Laporta, and they're struggling, man. And that defense, I've talked about that defense, they're getting healthier. They're starting to get guys back. Like today, they got the corner, DJ Reed, back. So they're slowly working him in. Eventually, they'll get a guy that I'm not the biggest fan of, But Terrion Arnold will be back soon, and soon they'll get their safety back, and they'll have their tandem back there in Kirby Joseph. So they're getting healthier, and maybe the defense. But even the guys that are in, like number 12, had a hell of a pick on Jameis, and it was funny. Me and Boss were talking. I said, Jameis makes plays. Jameis had a catch on a double pass, right, where he throws it to the wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski, and then Olszewski makes a guy miss. Jameis goes up the sideline. He throws it to him. He stiff arms a defender, gets out of a tackle, and jaunts into the end zone. The Giants had 2 big plays on trick plays in this game. Kafka was in his bag, but it was all for naught because he made some poor decisions down the stretch, and it cost them the game. But this was more about the Lions than it is the Giants. The Giants, just tell you, with better coaching, they're probably in the playoff hunt right now. You know how many games they've lost down the stretch? They should have beat Chicago. They should have beat Denver. They should have won this game. They could easily. What's the Giants' record? They're probably 3-8. Probably is my guess now. No, they haven't had their bye yet. They're probably 3-9 right now. Are the Giants? They could easily be 6-6 right now, without question. Maybe even 7-5. I'd have to think about all the losses, but they've been in every single ball game. Like, they have no business right now, none whatsoever, being 3-9. They've played so much better than that. But that's what happens when Jameis Winston is your quarterback, and you know he's going to make a mistake at some point. And that really didn't even cost them in this game. Jameis played his ass off. He did. This is more so about Detroit. They're in trouble. I'm just telling you. Maybe when they get some of these guys back healthy on the defensive side, they'll be better. But and the Packers, that's right. In the Packers game, that's the one I couldn't think of. That was last week, as a matter of fact. So they should have beaten the Broncos. They should have beaten the Bears. They should have beaten the Packers, and they should have won this game. They should be 7-5. They led in the fourth quarter of all those games. The Packers one wasn't as egregious, though, right? Like, that was just a close game, and the Packers made more plays than them down the stretch. That one isn't more like, oh, my God, they blew it. They blew this game. They blew the Denver game, and they blew the Chicago game. And really, the Chicago game probably happened more so because Jackson Dart got hurt. But if they would have put in Jameis in that game, they probably would have won it instead of putting in Russell Wilson. But whatever. The bottom line is they're 3-9 instead of being 7-5 right now, or 6-6. But the real story is Detroit. They're like, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm not comfortable with what I'm seeing right now. But you're winning. You won today. That's what's important. But I'm not comfortable with what I've seen. To the Packers, another team that's struggling to score, and I bring up the Packers and the Lions because they were the last 2 opponents of the Philadelphia Eagles. And while the Eagles' defense is good, you saw Dallas's offense move the football on them at will today. Basically, like, you can move the ball. Like, the Eagles' defense is really good, but I don't want people to think that this Eagles' defense is elite, because it's not. And when you don't have really good offense like the Packers and the Lions right now don't, it makes a defense like Philadelphia's that's really good look elite, and it's not elite. And so the Packers struggled again today to score football. Like, they were struggling and fighting for their life today in their game at home versus Minnesota. And, another big takeaway, J.J. McCarthy stinks. Of all those quarterbacks in that 2024 draft class that we laud and praise, he's going to be the one that shouldn't have been there. He stinks, man. God, he is awful. Yikes. I know Kevin O'Connell's like, Jesus, I wish we would have re-signed Sam Darnold. Like, he's awful, bro. Awful. Man, he stinks. And to hear that our GM, like, if that story is true, and we had heard like rumblings and grumblings about the fact that Adam Peters was smitten with J.J. McCarthy. My God, today, if we would have had the 3rd pick in the draft, do you know we would have taken J.J. McCarthy? Hey, look, man, Adam Peters, I'm telling you right now, man, I love Adam to death. I got nothing but the utmost confidence in him, but hearing shit like that scares me. Seeing what he's done with some of these draft picks and then hearing some shit like that, because J.J. McCarthy is hot ass garbage. Now, you got to roll your tongue with that. Garbage. Okay? He is fresh, hot buns out of the oven. This man Stinks. Stinks. Um, Green Bay dominated that game because JJ McCarthy stinks. And they were actually having success running the ball against Green Bay, but because JJ McCarthy didn't scare them throwing the football, they could load up on the run. So they started to stop the run a little bit better, and they forced McCarthy to have to throw the football. He can't throw the football, guys. He can't. He's holding on to the ball too long. And I'm going to just say this in his defense, if we're being objective here, let me see how it is. Okay, so we're getting close to kickoff for Sunday Night Football. So I won't keep you here much longer. If we're being objective and we're not just gonna just talk shit about a guy, he's still super young. This is his rookie season for all intents and purposes, and he's missed time this year, a lot of time this year. So he really hasn't played a lot of football. If we're being fair and objective, but the football that he has played has looked disgusting. He's thrown interceptions in every start. I don't think he's had a start yet in his NFL career where he was clean the entire game and didn't turn it over. He had like 9 turnovers today. And yes, I'm being facetious, tongue in cheek, right? But he turned it over a bunch today. I think he threw at least 3 interceptions today. And he holds on to the ball way too long. He's a problem. And Kevin O'Connell is frustrated. And he's one of those guys, super optimistic, always, feels like there's a way we can figure this out. He looks distraught on the sideline, like, this guy here again. And he's the quarterback whisperer. Green Bay struggling on offense. Not that Detroit, like Minnesota's some chump ass defense, right? So I don't want to make it seem like they're a chump ass defense that you're supposed to just run it up against, because they're not. But let me turn this game on real quick so I can just kind of keep tabs on what's going on here till I can get downstairs and watch it with Boss Man. I'm gonna chop it up with y'all for another about 15, 20 minutes so I can get through, everything else that we learned today. We learned a lot today, man. We learned a lot. I'm gonna tell you right now, though, your boy is on the struggle bus. When I tell you he is struggling mightily, he is struggling. Let me make sure this turns on. Let me see what we got going on here. Everything looks to be plugged in. Let me see that. That's in. That's in. Oh, that's the problem. No, that's in there. Okay, everything seems to be in working order here. All right, so what's going on? Maybe I gotta do this. No, I'll bump it. I'm wasting time. All right, so the Packers struggled today offensively. Jordan Love, he is such an enigma, man. When I tell you Jordan Love, he frustrates me. I know he has to frustrate Packers fans. He's got so much talent, but he also is just, he throws the ball up for grabs. He is a guy that will take a sack. He's athletic enough to run, and he just refuses to run. There's a lot of Jordan Love that frustrates the hell out of me, and I'm not even a Packers fan. No Josh Jacobs today. You could tell the difference in the offense with him not being in the lineup. That defense is really good, though. That defense, and I've talked about it all season. Like, they've lost, what? They're 7-3-1, I believe the Packers are. And they've lost all 3 of those games that they lost. I believe they've given up less than 16 points. I think or 17 points. 16 to the Panthers, 13 to the Browns, and 13 again to the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. It was, what was it? Was it 10-7? 10 to the Eagles? Like, that defense is really good, and they dominated today. That if the offense of the Packers can't at least meet the defense halfway, they won't advance past wild card weekend, because someone's going to get them, right? They got to play better offense, and they're struggling right now. And they got some injuries, right? I mean, I don't think Jaden Reed's done for the season. At some point, he'll be back. That'll be a big for them. They had no Matthew Golden for like the second or third week in a row. So they're dealing with some injuries offensively, but they got to get the Tucker Kraft one is, I think that's the debilitating one. That's the backbreaker that the one that I don't know if they can recover from. Their offense is it's just not hitting. So they've struggled offensively again, but they got it done. Let's see, what else did we watch today that was of note? New England struggled over there. That was surprising how badly they struggled with Cincinnati today. That felt like if Jamar Chase wasn't suspended, they would have lost that game. They really struggled. Drake made through a bad pick six, and then Joe Flacco was like, "Hold my beer, young fella. Let me show you how to throw the worst pick six ever." And he throws a rookie pick six, and I'm just like, "Joe, you too old for that shit, bro. What are you doing?" So they just couldn't overcome the mistakes. But New England's an interesting team because, much like Chicago, they find ways to win. Their defense is better than Chicago's, but they find ways to win these close games. They've played such a easy schedule, and they've caught a lot of breaks. Same thing could be said for Chicago. Chicago's played a lot of teams that have been dealing with injuries, like the Giants losing Jackson Dart in that game, not having Aaron Rodgers there, even though I don't think difference. He was better than Mason Rudolph. Right? Mason Rudolph stinks. Um, they've caught a lot of teams when they are banged up or it's a rough situation for them. Same thing with New England. Like not like Joe Burrow was this close to playing today, and if he plays today, maybe it makes a difference. But they got away 26-20, and they're going to win that division. They're going to win the AFC East. Ramondre Stevenson came back. I really think they have to feature um, the rookie a little bit more, Travion Henderson. He got his shit off while Ramondre was out, and I think they got to go back to him. Like not necessarily not give Ramondre his opportunities, but they really do need to give him being Travion Henderson more opportunities to get his shit off. As you move to the 4 o'clock hour, I think those were all the notable games. Um, I'm trying to think about what all we had on the screen at 1 o'clock. I think I tackled everything that was important. Talked about the Chiefs game, talked about the Packers game, talked about the um, Patriots game, talked about the Giants game, and talked about the Bears game. So you go to 4 o'clock hour, and I'll save the best for last. Let's just quickly run through the two games that mattered at 4 o'clock. Shador, three. Let me just touch on Shador real quick. Shador won his first NFL start. He played the perfect team for it. The Raiders stink. My God, the Raiders. I think they're the worst team in football. Tennessee put up a fight against, I didn't really mention Seattle. That game was a lot closer than it needed to be, but they were up 30-10 at one point, but it ended up being 30-24. So yeah, the Titans kept fighting, but Jackson Smith and Jigba is ridiculous. He had two more touchdown catches today, including a 73-yarder or something like that, 63. He's ridiculous. But um, the Shador got his first win of his NFL career, first career start. His dad was there. It was pretty cool. Vegas stinks, but he had a ridiculous play where he rolls out and launches it deep to the kid from Texas that went undrafted because of the charges. That was a big play early on. And the defense just smothered Geno Smith and that Raiders offense. They got to be the worst team in football right now. The Raiders are absolutely horrible. They put up a little resistance in this game. And shout out to Shador, man. I don't think it's going to make a difference. They clearly don't love him in Cleveland, but good for him to go out there, play well, get a win, and make it at least make it a conversation with him and Dylan Gabriel. When Gabriel's healthy, they're going to go back to him because they hate Shador. They don't like that young man for whatever reason. They can't stand him. So they're going to give the job back to Dylan Gabriel. But what's going to end up happening is a mutiny because Gabriel stinks, which we all knew coming out of Oregon. He stinks. And there's going to be basically the players are going to be like, yo, you got to play Shador. And eventually they'll go back to him. But as soon as Dylan Gabriel's healthy, I think they're going to turn the reins over to him. But big win for him. I think they won 24-3, something like that. Kicked the Raiders' ass. And Shador played well. He did throw a bad pick, but that comes with the territory, right, of a young quarterback. Um, just getting his feet wet. And so you expect some of the mistakes. He's got to learn that this ain't Colorado. You can't drop back and throw off your back foot and triple cover. These linebackers actually got speed and they can close and they can pick passes off. He'll figure that stuff out. But the more that he plays, but big win for him. Jacksonville. And yes, Myles Garrett. Let me just go ahead and hit that. Juan Gotti Talking Sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Right? Can Myles be the best defensive player ever? Yeah, but see, it's hard for me to say ever because you got to affect the ball game. You got to affect winning. And it's not his fault that he's been on a losing team basically his entire career, but it is your choice to stay there. And I'm not one of those guys that's, force your way out of something, this, that, and the third. Teams usually have the leverage. But if he really wanted out, this was his chance. And he started to make a big stink about wanting to get out of Cleveland. And he had this fancy note that he wrote, and which was essentially his trade request, was on the best stock money could buy. Man, that was some of the heaviest stock I've ever seen visually, right? With the best cursive. Oh my God. It was excellent. And then like a week later, he signs an extension with these boys. So he ain't want to leave. And you chose this. This life ain't choose you. You chose it. So I can't say he's the greatest because you're not affecting the ball game. This man goes out, has 4 sacks, they still lose the game. And I know he don't got nothing to do with offense, but I've seen him take over games. I've seen games. See the Indy game last year. He single-handedly won that game for them. Like I've seen him take over games before, but ultimately, um, he'll go down as one of the greatest defensive players we've ever seen. But he can't be the greatest of all time because in order to do that, you got to be Aaron Donald and will your team to the Super Bowl. And then in the Super Bowl, in the biggest game, at the biggest moment, you make the sack that clinches the game for your team. That's what the best players do. It's Von Miller stripping the ball of Cam Newton in the Super Bowl, and that solidified the victory for the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. That's what the best players of all time do, right? Like he's in that conversation, but we've seen guys better than him. We've seen guys impact the game more than him, but he'll definitely go down as one of the greatest we've ever seen. Like he's ridiculous. And you think he had another 2 sacks today, another forced fumble today. Um, yeah, Myles Garrett is something else. Um, Andre67 Poggers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Must be nice DBs that can track and play the ball. Must be nice. Must be nice." I was texting Rio, like, must be nice to be, because he said, imagine forcing a fumble and recovering it when we were watching the Cowboys Eagles game. And I was like, imagine being competitive against an actual team with a winning record, which we haven't done in over a month and a half, going on 2 months now. We haven't been competitive with a team with a winning record in almost 2 months. Imagine just doing that. Man, the bar is pretty low here in Washington. Man, the bar is extremely low here in Washington right now. Anyway, it's nice to have DBs that actually look back, can find the football. They don't panic. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there one day. One day. One guy talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Don't want to hate, man, but Chicago annoys me now. They do annoy the shit out of me too. And look, the hate for the Chicago Bears doesn't stem from their fan base, putting voodoo magic on us this season and talking shit. It really stems from the fact that they're just, it's not a brand of football that you feel like is sustainable. And it's easy to hate on teams when you're like, man, that shit lucky. It's luck. And that's what it feels like the Bears are doing every week is luck. But you could probably, I feel like it's very similar to what we did last year. Our shit just looked better, right? Our shit was more aesthetically pleasing. Like Caleb Williams be doing the dumbest shit, and Jaden did the dumbest shit. Like it just feel like, man, if y'all was playing better teams, but you can say that about us last year. Man, if y'all played better teams, our shit just looked, it was dramatic and it looked the part. Like their shit just, it's not fun. It's not a fun, the Bears aren't a fun watch. I don't enjoy watching the Bears. We were a fun watch last year. It's a difference. But a win's a win. I don't really give a shit. They do annoy me too. They annoy my dad more than me though. My dad's he refused to pick them in the weekly winners and losers. Every week he picks against. I'm like, boss, these dudes don't won like 5 games in a row. When you gonna stop? Like he picked Pittsburgh today. I'm like, bro, why did you do that? When I got his picks on Thursday, I was like, bro, why did you pick? Like I'm saying it in my head. I don't ever really discuss his picks at that time because I don't want to change his mind because I'm trying to beat his ass. I ain't trying to help him out. But I'm like, they're gonna beat the Steelers, bro. They do annoy me too. I'm right there with you, bro. They annoy the shit out of me through the Bears, but they're winning. That's all that matters. They're finding a way to win. Jacksonville. Let's talk about the Jaguars real quick. And they played Arizona. I really thought Arizona could win today. I picked Jacksonville because I don't trust Arizona to win close ball games, which they haven't this season. But I told my dad, I said, you got a chance to beat Philadelphia. I said Arizona has a chance to win, and I told him on Thursday that the Texans had a chance to beat the Bills. I went 2 of 3 in those. Now I didn't pick Dallas, right? I wasn't crazy enough. I did pick them on my weekly pick'em pool sheet, but I didn't pick them to win the game on my winners and losers sheet. And I mulled over it because I really thought they could win because they can move the football. But I really wanted to pick Arizona, and I didn't have the balls to do it. I'm glad I didn't do it, but I wanted to because Jacksonville is one of the biggest enigmas in the league. You don't know what Jacksonville Jaguars team is going to show up, and that is largely in part because of Trevor Lawrence. Man, is he really inconsistent and extremely frustrating. I talk about Jordan Love being frustrating and probably, he's mixed reaction for Packers fans as to what Jordan Love is and can be. There's no more frustrating quarterback in the league to me right now than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions today. And if they were playing a better team, they lose today. The Cardinals had every opportunity to win the game today, and they could not do it. And shout out, now I will say this, shout out to the Jags and shout out to Trevor Lawrence. And this is the same thing you got to give the Bears and Caleb Williams and that group credit for is resilience. Because shit's not going to always be pretty. It's not always going to be perfect. And there are going to be mistakes that are made. How do you respond to said mistakes? Last year, the Bears and Caleb Williams, they wilted under the pressure once mistakes were made. This year, totally different team. They expect to find a way to come back and win. Jacksonville, same thing with Liam Cohen as their head coach. They expect to come back and win. They expect to overcome mistakes. And they have a touchdown that they give up in this game. Lawrence throws another pick. This third and final pick he throws is a backbreaker. The Cardinals take it. They hit Greg Dortch. Brissett hits Greg Dortch on the slant. He catches it, Merks for a touchdown. They take the lead, and I'm thinking they got their ass. Finally, one of these interceptions has come back to haunt them, and they're going to lose this game on the road to Arizona. This is going to be a backbreaking loss because Indy lost, and here's a chance for you to make up some ground in that division. And Houston's coming. They're knocking on the door. Don't open that bitch. Don't open it. They got guns and shit. They knocking. Don't open it. They dangerous. And I thought they were going to open the door like some dumbasses today. But Lawrence, after the picked himself up, and he got right back to work, and he took him right there. And this is the shit I'm talking about. Even in game, this shit is frustrating with Trevor Lawrence because he can go and do that shit. He went right down the field. It was masterful. A couple of big plays, and then he hits Parker Washington on a beautiful ball, back of the end zone. Parker Washington is turned into a stud for the Jaguars. Sliding, catching the back of the end zone, and just like that, they have run the lead. Now, Arizona went back down, kicked the field goal, tied, sent it to overtime, and Trevor Lawrence was surgical in overtime. And Tim Patrick, down the sideline, if Tim Patrick turns and looks for the football, it's probably a touchdown and overtime's over. But Trevor Lawrence got those boys down there, got them in the field goal range, and they ultimately won the game. Got the field goal to start overtime, and then they got the stop, sacked Jacoby Brissett on 4th down, ended the game, and won. So Jacksonville's frustrating. Trevor Lawrence is frustrating. But Liam Cohen has those boys balling, playing ball, believing in themselves. And don't look now, but Jacksonville is right in the mix, right behind Indy, and Houston is right behind both of those teams. This shit's getting real tight in the AFC South after Indy jumped out to this early lead with the hot start. Everything's starting to tighten up in that division. And if I'm not mistaken, all these teams play each other down the stretch. I think Houston might have played Jacksonville twice already. That might be the one team that's played twice. Don't quote me on that. I know Davis Mills authored a comeback just a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago. So not this past week, but the week before. I could have sworn they played earlier in the season too. But those teams are going to be playing each other. So it's going to be really interesting down the stretch in that division. But I saved the best for last. Let me get the Shadow Striker real quick. Shadow Striker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Shadow Striker 789, who writes, Man, Law so funny. Him and LB are live solo. Law sent his chat over to LB to spam his channel, and LB start talking about their Super Bowl. LOL. It was funny because we were texting, and Law was LB could see this shit coming. Like he started talking about firing, people in the fourth quarter, in the third quarter, right? As you could see, like the Eagles' offense is so unserious. It's not a real NFL offense. For all the talent and weapons that they have, it's not a real NFL offense. And so they got off to that hot start, and Dallas was making all these mistakes. So let's dive into it. Right? They were making all of these mistakes, and um, you're watching this thing kind of unfold, and I'm just like, if Dallas just stopped shooting themselves in the foot, you had the roughing the kicker. They first of all they went for it on fourth down on the first possession. They didn't get it. And you got the roughing the kicker that I swear the guy tipped the ball. Like Flournoy is telling everybody that listen, I tipped that, bro. I tipped it, and he did. No one wanted to listen. So the Eagles end up scoring on that possession. Then they had another third down stop on that same possession, and they were offsides. So then the Eagles got another opportunity, and they got the first down, and they ended up going down and scoring a touchdown. And then, Dallas goes all the way down there, and then Dak throws the interception. And so you're just saying to yourself, like, they don't want to win. They're moving the football. They don't want to win, though. And the Eagles are going down, and they're making them pay for every mistake that they make. But even as you're watching this, you're like, if Dallas could just settle in and score. Like, I always talk about game pressure. And I'm big on applying game pressure to teams that I don't think can handle it well. Some teams handle game pressure very well. The Eagles are a team that if you can't move the football, they'll handle the game pressure well because their defense will do the heavy lifting. But if you can apply game pressure and force their offense to actually have to do something, you can beat Philadelphia. That's why the Rams are so dangerous for Philadelphia this year, because their offense is capable of forcing the Eagles' offense to have to actually do some lifting, and their offense really isn't capable of doing that. So the Eagles can beat the Lions and the Packers and teams like that because those teams' offenses are non-threatening when they see elite level or defenses that are above average, right? We talked about Minnesota's defense really stymieing both Green Bay and Detroit's offense, right? Those are the same two offenses that just struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Minnesota's defense is solid, but it's not like this elite unit that you can't move the ball against. Yet both of these teams really struggled against the Vikings. And again, it's family business. You know how that goes. But ultimately, once they settled down and scored the touchdown right before half, it felt like, okay, we got a ball game if they can get the adjacent stop after the half, and they did. What I didn't see coming, though, was the Eagles' inability to score ever again in the game. Like, you couldn't have gotten me to think that Dallas would get that many stops. Remember, this is a Dallas Cowboys defense that before all of these moves and getting some of these guys back healthy, this is one of the worst defenses in football. They're still not a good defense, okay? The Raiders moved it last week, and the Eagles moved it on them, and then the Eagles couldn't get out of their way, right? They had the Dallas Goedert play on the opening possession of the second half, or was that after Dallas had scored to make it 21-14. It might have been after Dallas scored to make it 21-14. They had the Dallas Goedert play that went for like 35-40, and it was negated. The Eagles shot themselves in the foot. Like, this Dallas defense is still capable of giving it up. But you can't beat yourself. The Eagles had a ton of penalties. The Eagles had a ton of mistakes. When have we seen Saquon Barkley fumble? That was a great play by Sam Williams. I brought him up as a free agent target for the Commanders in the offseason, and he won't cost you a ton. Don't know if he'll go back to Dallas or not, but that's a guy that I looked at and I said, hey, he'll be available. He's a little rough around the edges. He had a hell of a pressure on Hurts today. He forced the fumble to Saquon Barkley. I'm just saying. But when have we seen Saquon Barkley fumble? When have we seen special teams blunder like that where they fumble? Now, it didn't cost them because Dallas went for it. Another coach electing to go for a touchdown and bypass a field goal in a game that is tied at 21. You're going to go for the touchdown and not take the points? Somebody help me. Again, I'm struggling here. And maybe I'm being slow and I just don't get the I don't get the analytics of it. And so somebody needs to explain this to me like I'm 4 years old. Why I'm going to bypass a field goal to give me the kicker has already missed the long field goal kick. and they've struggled to move the football with any kind of consistency. Somebody help me like I'm a 4-year-old. Explain this to me like I'm in the first grade. Why am I bypassing a field goal here? Okay. So it wasn't great field position, but it ended up being a good field position. And they were able to move it back down the field and get back in the field goal range and win the game. But they wouldn't have needed to do any of that if they would have just kicked the field goal, gotten the stop against Philadelphia, and then they could have just gotten a couple first downs. Philadelphia calls their timeouts, and you could have taken knees, and the game would have been over. But again, that's just me. That's just little me. I don't know what I'm talking about. And when teams actually used to kick field goals, long time ago, when teams actually used to kick field goals, it's crazy. But what a win for the Dallas Cowboys. Boss was talking all types of shit. We're gonna beat Kansas City. He was on 10, bro. He was on 10. I told him I think they can beat Kansas City too. I watched the Chiefs today. You've watched the Chiefs all season. They're very beatable. I said, I think you can beat Kansas City too, but I'm not picking you. He said, I'm picking us because he didn't pick them to beat Philadelphia this week. So he's picking them to beat the Chiefs next week. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that's an elimination game on Thanksgiving. That's gonna be a good one. Chiefs are still fighting for their life. They can't afford a loss. They can't lose next week to Dallas. So they got to have it, right? Meanwhile, Dallas is fighting for their life. They're now back to 500 at 5-5-1, and now they got all this momentum and they feeling themselves, but they can't afford to lose either, right? That's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a really good one. But I'll say this about Philadelphia: they suffered some injuries today, man. I don't know how serious the Makuba injury ended up being. He left the game at the very end. Reed Blankenship left and did not come back. I don't know the severity of that injury. They're getting banged up though. They starting to get a little bit of this. They've been relatively healthy all season long. They getting a little taste of this shit now. And their offense stinks. No, it stinks. AJ got his touchdown. I wonder if he's gonna be mad this week. They lost the game, but he got his 100 yards though. He got his touchdown. He should have had another touchdown. But he got so excited about the damn pylon, he forgot to get his other foot in bounds. They still scored a touchdown anyway. I wonder if he's going to be happy-go-lucky this week. Anyway, their offense isn't good, guys and girls. Their offense isn't good. They could be in some trouble this year. Seriously. They could be in some trouble. Like, the schedule isn't getting any easier. Games that look like wins initially. Chicago all of a sudden on Black Friday next week. Them Bears ain't afraid of them. And they shouldn't be afraid of Chicago. But Chicago ain't going to back down. Chicago is not going to back down from these boys. The Chargers on a Monday night? You think Justin Herbert and them boys going to be afraid of this Eagles football team? Hell no. They can't score. Say what you want about the Bears. They force turnovers. Say what you want about the Chargers. They play defense. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Eagles could be in a little bit of trouble. And if the Rams win tonight, Rams will be in sole possession of that number one seed. And I think it is imperative that Philadelphia get the number one seed because, as we've seen, until they prove this to me, and this may be nothing. I may be making a big deal out of nothing here. And I may be taking a situation and turning it into something that is not. But I haven't seen Jalen Hurts nor Nick Sirianni win a role playoff game. And until I do, they can't. That's just the bottom line because Louie T said so. And you send those boys on the road, I think they get dealt with. If you send them on the road and they can get dealt with if it's the right opponent, of course. NFC is crazy, though. You send these Eagles to San Francisco. I don't know if they win in that game. I don't know if they win in that game. Now, again, the Eagles are going to win the division. So they're going to get a home playoff game to start. The following week, let's say you send them to the Rams, L.A. Say you send them to, really, L.A. is the one because I could see a scenario where Detroit gets their shit together. I just think no Sam Laporta means they're in trouble. I could see a scenario in which Green Bay gets their act together, and we sit here, we're talking shit about Green Bay. They're 7-3-1, like they're right there. One slip up from Chicago coupled with a win, and they're now in first place. So, like, Green Bay is right there, and Green Bay already played this Eagles team at home in Green Bay, and they didn't get it done. But they were right there. It was 10-7. So, I think you send these Eagles on the road, and they could be in some trouble. But they got the thing that travels, which is defense. Their run game has been very disappointing this season, but it's really disappointing because they can't throw the football. And even though they had a little bit more success today throwing the football, Jalen Hurts, I think he had close to 300 yards passing today. That's Dallas' defense. He's supposed to do that against them. So, anyway, I think the Eagles could be in some trouble. I'll just say that. But, we'll see. Voices of Martians. Thank you for the chat. Appreciate you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, "What's up, Lou? What's up, Voices of Martians?" Says, "Happy early Thanksgiving." Man, but I really appreciate that. Same to you and yours. Not to derail your current train of thought, but I'm curious to know if you got my email. Not sure. I will have to check. Where did you send it exactly? I'll check all my emails and I'll see if I spot it. I don't think I got an email from you, but I'm pretty. If you say you sent my email, I've been away from my computer, so it just depends on when you sent it to. Haven't checked my email all weekend, and I'm away from my computer, as you can see. That's why I'm on my phone. Well, Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "Man, only if we were still in it. It's wide open, LT. It is, bro. That's why, like, that Dolphins hurt. And I got something to tell y'all tomorrow on Commanders Nightly News. I got something to tell y'all. I made up my mind on something, and it's not gonna sit well with some of y'all, and that's fine. But again, I told you, seeing the Monday night game and seeing the sniffing around, and then I saw it again today. I watched it again today, and I saw 4-7 is I think it was 4-7 Minnesota in the hunt, and I'm like, that could have been us, man. And we would have had a shot, bro. We would have had a shot. The NFC is bonkers. Nobody's elite. There's teams that are better than the others, right? Philadelphia and the Rams are better than everyone else. Seattle is better than most of the teams. They still got Sam Darnold at quarterback, but they're better than most teams. But it's still wide open, man. But like you said, only if we were in it, but I digress. Voices of Martians. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, "Sent it a few days ago to the link on your YouTube page." Then I got it. It's I'll just have to check it. So you sent it to LouieTeeNetwork at gmail.com. I'll check my email and I talked your head off long enough. So I'm gonna let y'all go watch the Sunday night game in peace. And I look forward to chopping it up with y'all. Like I said, I'll be home later on tonight. I'm gonna just jump on live when I get home. And it'll probably be like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So most of y'all will probably be sleeping. But if you want to watch it on playback, if this is a good game, if it's not a good game, then I probably won't. I just won't do it. But if it's a good game and I got some stuff to say about it, which I can't imagine this not being a good game, then I'll jump on and talk about it a little bit. But if it's a blowout, I'll just leave it alone. So. Somebody said it's 14-0 Rams. I'm not surprised, but I don't think Tampa Bay is going away either. Like, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to just lay down and this ain't going to be over. We know the Rams can score, so it's not a surprise that it's 14-0. But Tampa Bay will be back. They're not going to just lie down and this thing turns into an ass whooping. They're going to show up. So before it's all said and done, this might turn to a shootout. But anyway, y'all enjoy the game. And if not, worst case scenario, you'll see me tomorrow. If not, you might see me tonight, later on, or early this morning. Either way. Y'all be easy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace.